Hello, and welcome to Christ Lutheran Church's video on the fourth commandment. The fourth commandment is a very fascinating commandment because we have now shifted from the first table of the law to the second table of the law. If you saw our first video going through the Catechism, then you saw that there were two lists of commandments. The first three are about our relationship directly with God, and then the final seven are about our relationships with other people. And God has commandments for both, our relationship with Him and our relationship with others. The fourth commandment now is the first one about our relationship with others. Now, here's what the fourth commandment is about. Have you ever tried to help someone who didn't want your help? That is so frustrating, isn't it? When you want to provide something for someone else, something that you know is going to be helpful to them, but they deny you, and they don't want that kind of help. They don't see the need for it, and so they don't accept the help that you're giving. Did you know that God actually has done this as well? God is helping out people all the time, in all places of the world and in all moments of their lives. God is helping people out, but lots of people don't want the help that God is giving to them. God actually talks about this in the Old Testament. In Isaiah chapter 65, here's a portion of a verse where God is talking, and he says, "All day long I have held out my hands to an obstinate people." Obstinate means stubborn or not accepting, just going their own way. And God says, all day long, I've held out my hands to bless them and to give to them, to my people Israel. But they are not accepting my help. They remain obstinate. Do you feel the emotions in what God is saying? He wants to help, but he has noticed that even his own people would not accept the help that he was giving. That's what the fourth commandment is really all about. Let's look at the text of the fourth commandment. Here's what it says. "Honor your father and mother, that it may go well with you, and that you may enjoy long life on the earth." Wow, pretty simple, don't you think? Actually, honor your father and mother. So, respect your parents and serve them. And when they tell you what to do, obey. And this is really quite simple. And children know that this is what they should do. We know that when there is an authority, we should listen to that authority. And look at what God says is the help that he gives. That it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth. God wants things to go well for you, and when you follow this commandment, things usually go very well. By honoring our parents, we actually are letting God help us. Because then there aren't going to be issues in our home, and we'll be able to grow and to appreciate the help that our parents give and the help that God gives through our parents. It's so simple. If you want God's help, then respect your parents. But this isn't just about parents. I mean, we should respect other authorities too, right? It's not like just your father and your mother are the only authorities in your life. In fact, this is why the Apostle Paul could write what he wrote in Romans 13. "Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God." This is God's doing. Consequently, or as a result, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. You don't receive blessings. You don't receive help from God if you don't honor the authorities that God has placed over you, because that's how he wants to help you. Now, people think that that lots of the problems in their life come from those who have power over them and who use their power in mean ways. And it's true that when people have power, they for sure can use that power in negative ways. But generally, no. God has actually put those who are in power in their place. And usually, if you listen to what they say and you obey, man, things are going to go really well with you, and God's going to be happy because His will be done. He will be helping you through them. In fact, when you have problems, when you constantly are having problems with the authority in your life, the problem's actually probably just inside you. Look at the next verse from James chapter 4, verse 1. What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? So it's actually our desires for control and for power and to not have anyone tell us what to do. That's what leads to the fights and quarrels that we experience. It's what's inside us as those who don't want to honor our father and mother and other authorities. So what's the main point? The main point for the fourth commandment is really quite simple. God blesses humility and deference. Humility is when you see yourself as not so important. I don't need to be number one. And then deference is when you actually submit to someone else's authority that they have over you. And God blesses humility and deference. When we don't see ourselves as number one, and when we're willing to actually obey those God has placed over us, God blesses that. I mean, He wants to provide that help for you. All right, so how do you apply this to your life? Here's one simple way to do so. Thank God for the authority that someone has over you. Actually be thankful to God, and not just in a simple offhand way of, oh, sure, God, I guess I'm thankful that I have parents. No, really appreciate them. And if you continue to thank God for it, you'll probably develop more of an attitude of willingness to serve and respect and honor. And God's going to let that snowball into a bunch of blessings for you in your life. All right, here's the home activity. Read Daniel chapter 3. And this chapter has three heroes in it named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They have pretty funny names. But here is the first question after you read Daniel 3 that I want you to try to answer, and that is, how did the three men show humility before the king? But then the next question is just as important. How did the three men show humility before God? Enjoy your home activity and enjoy the rest of your time until we see you again.